All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. So good evening, everyone. Again, this meeting is being recorded and it will be posted on the open house website tomorrow morning, as well as the presentation from this evening. So if anybody has any questions or they want to refer back to anything, they can. My name is Bill Good. I'm the Director of Communications and Student Services for Ferndale Schools. So I'll be the person, my office will be the people you'll be interacting with as you go through enrollment here in Ferndale Schools. We're going to be posting a whole bunch of useful links as well throughout the evening that will point you to the enrollment page. That will allow you to learn everything you need to about documentation, timelines, all that kind of stuff. Our schools of choice window is open as of this evening. So again, any districts or any new students coming from outside the district can begin that enrollment process this evening as well. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to the principal of Ferndale Lower Elementary, Miss Diana Keefe. Go ahead, Diana.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Good. Welcome. I'm so glad you could join us. I will be honest, this is my first virtual kindergarten open house, but I'm excited to be with you here tonight and answer some questions, put together a little presentation to maybe answer questions you already had and just to get to know you a little better. I'm really excited that I see 70 of us on here. That's just great. I like to say that I am a principal of the people. I like to be around people and give hugs and high fives and all of that. So this is a little different time, but I'm still glad to be with you tonight. And I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. I love kindergarten. I've been the principal here for 7 years, but before that, I was a kindergarten teacher. So it has a special place in my heart. And I'm just really excited to share Ferndale with you and also just about kindergarten. So feel free to put in some questions along the way and Mr. Good can stop me or we can do that at the end as well. So we do have a few members of our kindergarten team on with us tonight that they are also here to answer some questions. So, and we'll get started. So Mr. Good, it looks like you're sharing something else. Okay, here we go. Okay, you can go to the next slide then. Okay, so what if we are in a different time right now? We're not sure what fall is going to look like. We are planning and in a transition right now to return back to school March 1st. And families were all making that choice over the past couple of days. So we have several kindergarten families that will be coming in, but we don't know yet what it'll look like in the fall, but we will do our very best to have students in school because we like to be around everyone and we know that that learning can come from each other as well too. So we'll see what happens in the fall. For right now, we're planning and we'll continue to plan with whatever we need to do in order to make it safe. Okay. Next slide. So a little bit about Ferndale Lower. We like to say that we are a whole child focused school. And what that means is that we focus on social, emotional. We also focus on the physical development of our students as well as the academic. We want to build a really strong foundation. And that's what our vision is our vision is to provide a successful, appropriate foundation to educate all children. Our students are coming to us from at all different levels with all different skills, and we want to build a solid, strong foundation for everyone. Our mission is to create a love of learning by providing an environment where all children feel respected, nurtured, safe, and successful. Our environment has looked a little bit different this year, being virtual this first half of the school year, but I believe that even in that virtual environment, we've been able to help students to feel safe, nurtured, and respected, and definitely a lot of learning going on. So it looks a little bit different, but our kindergarten team is strong and they will support our students as they need to be. So next slide. So this year we have one First Fives class, and I'll talk a little bit about First Fives later. We have 7 strong kindergarten classes, and we have 472 amazing kindergarten through 2nd grade students. So we are a primary building. We focus on the early childhood and the young learners and what their brain needs. Brain development is so different from birth to age 8, and we are so glad to have those students when they're 4, 5, 6, and 7 years old in kindergarten and second grade, kindergarten, first grade, and second grade. So we're really able to focus in on their needs. We have a great school family. In our school family, we have some fantastic teachers. The kindergarten team is a really strong, cohesive team. They work well together. They have different strengths that they bring to the team and support each other with. So we have Miss Parinello, we have Mrs. Tobin, we have Mrs. Mickles, Mrs. Majeski, and Miss Least, Miss Dahlman, Mrs. McNeil, and Miss Santangelo. And on that team, Miss Dahlman is our instructional lead teacher. And that means that she supports the team with some professional development and professional learning time. And she's kind of the go-to guru in kindergarten. However, they all work as a great team. And we have a flip grid that we'll be sending out later tonight or tomorrow with the presentation. And all of them will give you a special welcome on that flip grid. So you'll be able to get to know them a little bit better than just a picture. Okay. Well, we have some great curriculum that the teachers are teaching all of the time. So we have state standards, Common Core, that we are focusing on. Envisions is our math, lots of critical thinking. We are in a third or fourth year of our Envisions math. It's a new math program. We're finding some great results with it, with that deeper thinking, that deeper learning, and students really talking about math and having that math discourse. Journeys is our reading curriculum. We've had that a few more years, and that's reading, writing, phonics, literature, read alouds every day. That's our English language arts. We have 6 modules. We have a really strong social and emotional learning curriculum that we're actually known throughout the state. And last year we won a Whole Child Award for our social emotional learning curriculum. It's just a really strong platform that we support our students with. Not on the slide is social studies. Social studies is a lot about who we are and how we fit in the community, and that blends a lot with our socially emotional. And also we have science, so we have different units in science about force and motion and living things, and a lot of science is also taught through other subjects as well and different reading. So the workshop, yes?
Yeah, oh, I saw the question. Okay, go ahead.
So the workshop model is whole group lessons, and actually all of our classrooms are set up right now before the pandemic with whole group areas where we're able to gather all of the students together. We're able to do some mini lessons and some small teaching points, and then students go off and work on their own, and the teacher's able to rotate and circulate around. So workshop model is that whole group teaching, and then students going off and working on their own, and the teacher checking in with that. So really able to meet the individual needs of students and doing some conferring with those students of where they're at. Okay. Next slide. So all of that curriculum is taught within our classrooms, and these are just a few things about our classrooms. They're designed with the young child's brain in mind. I mentioned that a little bit earlier about being a primary building. On hold right now, we have a strong parent involvement community, and we have camp experiences every year. Kindergarten does not go an overnight camp. They do an all-day camp experience with centers outside. We want to really bring experiences of outdoor education to our students. So that's been on hold since spring, but I hope that we can get back there again. Our classrooms really emphasize the predictable patterns, routines. Our brains are pattern thinking or pattern seeking. And so when they have that routine and the high expectations and things that they're working on every day, it really deepens that learning, and their brain is able to gather more information from the teaching. We have flexible groupings based on data. So students are working with peers that they can support and peers that can support them. We also have lots of family support, lots of volunteer. Again, we don't know how all of this is going to look. We will be limiting volunteers when we return to school in March. Actually, we won't have the volunteers like we normally do. We're really going to miss that because we really feel that our parents are partners with us. We can't do it alone, and they can't always do it alone either. We have to be working together. So we recognize that family support is important. And then the last one on this list is that we have lots of projects that are coordinated with teachers, students, parents, high interest things that they want to learn about and they want to show off. And even in kindergarten, they're doing some research and they're showing a presentation that they've worked on at home with their families. And, you know, they get to do that and show off a little bit in their classroom. In our classrooms, you'll see a lot of music, you'll see a lot of movement, collaboration, talking between teacher and student to student. There's lots of wonder and exploration, lots of experiences, read alouds galore, probably 2, 3, 4 times a day. There's read aloud with talk about that and prediction. So lots happening in a kindergarten classroom. Kindergarten looks a lot different than it used to look. Next slide. So as I mentioned, our students come at all different levels with all different types of backgrounds, and it's our job to really support them where they're at. We have a lot of different programs and activities and structures in our school to support early intervention. Back to that, building that strong foundation, we're always going back to that and making sure that we're filling in the holes and doing what we can for every student. So we have a lot of best practices. That's teaching best practices and learning best practices. So where I said we had a lot of music and movement, that's a best practice. Those brain breaks are important for us so that we can maybe get the wiggles out a little bit so that we can attend to the next thing that the teacher has to tell us. Lots of small groups, again, to support that early literacy and those early math skills. Motor and brain breaks, which I just mentioned. We also have summer bags that we send out at the end of the year, and that will have summer learning in it. We also have a foster grandparent program. We have 4 foster grandparents right now. There we go. And everyone loves grandma. So it looks a little different this year virtually because our grandmas are having a hard time online and connecting with us. But when we are in person, our grandmas are in person with us. They help students learn how to tie shoes. They're an extra hug. They're extra support, encouragement. They run centers. We love our grandmas. And I've been in Ferndale 25 years or more, and we have had foster grandparents in Ferndale that whole time. And I'm just proud to have that program and host it here at our school. Brand new this year, in fact, brand new within the last couple of weeks, we have language arts teacher assistants, and they're assigned just to our kindergarten students, just to help our young learners go back to building that foundation. So the next slide will tell you a little bit about them. We also have a reading core program. It's an AmeriCorps program, and they support students that are not there yet with reading. We also have a wonderful partnership and relationship with Playworks AmeriCorps, and we have a full-time service member here. So we're building our students up on the playground as well as within our classrooms and supporting them and teaching them some conflict resolution skills and just how to be leaders and play with others. So it's just, Playworks is a wonderful program that we have. And the last thing is Jumpstart Camp. Every year we have it's typically been 4 half days or 5 half days before school starts. It was a little modified in the spring, and I don't know what it'll look like yet in August, but anyone that is registered to attend Ferndale Lower by the summer, you'll be able to be invited to our Jumpstart Camp. However it looks, we don't know how it'll look yet. So. And then on to our language arts teacher assistants. This is Miss Kelly and Miss Jasmine, and they will be supporting our kindergarten students. And they're starting this week with some small group instruction and some co-teaching with the kindergarten team. So really excited to welcome them on board. Brand new position. In fact, when I first started in Ferndale years and years and years ago, that was the position I started in. So maybe they'll be the principal someday. Moving on to essentials, we call, and it's hard to see some of those letters, but that just it does say essentials up there. But we call art, music, and gym essential classes because especially at the primary level, we know that those classes are essential for us as human beings, for our growth and our development, and for our academics to follow along. So we have gym every day, gym twice a week, art once a week, and music twice a week. And I think I have another slide that shows that. But before that slide, we have Miss Grammatico. She is our music therapist, and she sees all of our students 30 minutes in the classroom. You can see a picture of her on the left there with a class from last year. They're learning about self-esteem and self-awareness and impulse control, all through music. She is a certified music therapist, and we are so glad to have her on our staff and to be working with our kindergarten students. So they're able to see her once a week for 30 minutes. And then here's the slide that shows they go to gym twice a week for 40 minutes each time, music twice a week with Mr. McMillan for 40 minutes, then music therapy with Miss Grammatico, and then art with Miss Baylog, 50 minutes. And then we also have a media specialist where they are able to go to the library and do computers and library. And one question that's always asked during this time, usually on a tour, is, okay, you go to gym twice a week, but what about recess? So our students do go to lunch and recess every day for 50 minutes. So on top of the two 40-minute times, they're able to get 25 minutes a day of recess time at lunch. And then teachers sometimes will take them out for an additional 15 minutes if they need a brain break. So lots of activity going back to that whole child. We are Ferndale Eagles, and as Ferndale Eagles, we soar, and these are our behavior reminders. Soaring means that we show respect, we own our behavior, we always act in excellence no matter where we are at school, at home, in the hallway, in the classroom, and we're always ready to learn. That means our brain is ready to learn, our body's ready to learn, and we are there with all of our materials. So we are Ferndale Eagles. So on this slide, the link at the top, and Bill, you don't need to click it now, but when you go through this, that is a list of kindergarten questions that are commonly asked. So that will be a great resource for you. But some of the highlights that most families want to know: when does school start? First bell's at 8:23, and then the tardy bell is 8:28. So instruction begins at 8:28. That's a little bit different than times in the past. So this is a new time for us. We do have a car lane. We call it the kiss and go, and that's what we hope you do. We hope that your student is ready to go. When they pull in, you give them a little kiss, and they go off and go right into class. They can do it. I know it doesn't seem like it, but they can do it. So we do have breakfast. Again, not this year right now, but typically we do have breakfast. Students that wish to come in and eat can come in a little bit early and sit and eat breakfast with their friends in the gym. We do have a snack time. It's always been community, but I think we have to move away from a community snack to individual snacks. But we are a peanut, tree nut, and sesame restricted building. So we have to be very, very careful because of the allergies that we have in our school. I already mentioned about lunch. All of our visitors do report to the office. We have a new secure vestibule that we have in the front, and students, or I should say volunteers, family members, will go through those secure entrance first. And volunteerism all depends on safety guidelines, but we love our families to come in and support us, and we want to support you. So how do we get to school? Well, we do have a lot of walkers and bikers, and I love to bike. So sometimes you'll see Mrs. Keith's bike locked up there, but mainly our students come to school on a bus. If you live within the Ferndale School District, you'll be given a bus tag and a bus route about a week before school starts. Now, if you didn't wish to take the bus, then you can say no, thank you. But if you're within the school district area, then you're able to take a bus. If you're not, then you would have to be dropped off from your car, and we use that kiss and go lane for that. One thing I want to mention about busing with kindergartners is that they do have tags. Everything's color coded, and our kindergarten students are not let off the bus without seeing a trusted adult there at the bus stop. The bus drivers really get to know your students and know the families. So kindergarten students do not come off the bus without someone being there for them. So it's another safety measure. And we've also added some COVID safety measures on the bus this year. They'll be sitting in separate seats. They'll have their hands sanitized when they get on the bus and when they get off the bus. So lots of safety stipulations that we're putting in place. These next couple slides are just a bunch of great pictures, and it just makes my heart happy to see them. On this slide, we have some pictures of our big green garden. We have a garden outside where students plant vegetables and flowers, and they're able to pick them. We've made salsa, we've done beans, we've done herbs before. So it's just a great opportunity. You also see some field trips there to the pumpkin patch, which is a great one for kindergarten, and also some students just working collaborative together with centers. The next slide has pictures as well, some volunteers, cooperative learning. The student on the top right, he has his own book box that he's reading from. All of our students have level text that they're able to read on their own, so lots of reading happening. The next slide, we have some outside speakers that come in and support us. That's the fire department in the top there. Lots of special activities. Hundreds Day is a big one, and our fall harvest that we celebrate together. And I love the top one in the left corner. Those boys are just, and girl too, having a great time building, creating. That was not a special assignment. It was just something that they were able to put together. So I love that. Lots of learning through play. The next slide has pictures of Spirit Day, a field trip to the ice rink, about force and motion, and just a lot of boys and girls working together. I love that. So Liza, are you on the call tonight to talk about PTA?
Hi, Mrs. Keefe. Yes.
Great. Okay, so we have Liza here. She's going to talk about the next two slides. When I mentioned about parents as partners, this is part of that connection and so important for our school family. So Liza, take it away.
Okay. Hi, I'm Liza Strokis. I'm a current PTA board member. I have a first grader and a third grader. So I've been in the district 5 years because these groups work in tandem to plan enrichment activities. There are a lot of engaged parents and caregivers in our school community, so that adds a lot to the overall school experience for both the students and the families. The first slide is for the Ferndale Elementary Connections Group, which we also call ECG. ECG focuses on connecting families, encouraging volunteers, and promoting outdoor learning. Mrs. Keefe touched on camp a little earlier. This year, we launched something called Family Circles in order to try and build community during this virtual learning environment. These are small groups of families within the same class that can connect with each other through email or text or Zoom or whatever they want. The ECG also encourages families to volunteer in the classroom, and they often get the word out about volunteer opportunities. Most recently, or I should say more recently, ECG has started to look at ways to strengthen our bond with the greater FPS community and incorporate elders into our classroom volunteer efforts. And last but certainly not least is camp. Mrs. Keefe did touch on that. Every student at every grade level does attend camp in the spring. It's kindergarten through third is a day camp, and fourth and fifth grade is an overnight camp. All of the camp learning centers are developed and run by family volunteers, and locations do vary each year, usually at a local park. It's a huge undertaking, and it's something that you would want to, you'll start to hear about it, fundraising for camp right away, kind of in the fall. It's an awesome outdoor learning experience, and it's something you'll want to mark on your calendar and volunteer if you are able to. Next slide should be PTA. Okay, great. Thank you. We have a very active elementary PTA, and typically, when we are not in the middle of a pandemic, the PTA as well as the school both plan many events throughout the school year. The events are filled with community. The PTA also helps plan school assemblies and supports volunteer opportunities when we're able. We encourage people to become a PTA member. It's only $7 a year, but membership is not required to participate in meetings and events. So we just encourage everybody to elementary parent Facebook page. You can join if you're interested. Questions from other parents. So as you can see, we have a lot going on during a normal school year. With all the happenings in the district, you will have an opportunity to grow your parent network. And after a year or two in Ferndale schools, you'll start to see familiar faces just about everywhere you go in the surrounding communities. I would typically, if we just show up at a park, we'll see somebody we know from school. So that's really becomes very fun. So I hope to see everyone in the fall, and welcome to our school family.
Thanks, Liza. I appreciate that. So our next slide is about tours. The school will be open for individual tours this Friday. We will wear masks. We will walk a distance apart, and it will be about 12 minutes. I'll set my timer, and that is really hard for me because normally my tours are about 45 minutes, and if we're really talking, it's an hour. So 12 minutes is going to be difficult, but I feel that it's really important for families to come in. You can bring your student if you want. If you just wanted to come and check us out and ask questions, that's fine too. Those tours, I think, Mr. Good, was there a link shared out with families to sign up?
Yes, and I also just put it in the chat as well. We just added some additional spots because it was almost full, so we did add some additional spots. And if you can't find a spot that works for you this Friday, just contact myself or Mrs. Keefe, and we'll try to find a time that we can get you in the building as well. You know, we want to get as many people in on Friday as we can, but like I say, situations come up, life happens, so we'll work with you and make sure you get in there to see the building.
And we chose this Friday because we do not have students in the building, and we are closed the whole next week for break. So we felt that if anyone did bring their germs in, maybe germs would be gone by the time we came back with our students. So I felt that this Friday was a good day, and we did open up some more. So along with the tour, we have created a welcome goodie bag for everyone. As I mentioned earlier, we focus on the whole child. So this goodie bag is filled with activities for fine motor, gross motor, some social emotional learning development, reading, writing, math, just things about kindergarten. So I wish that you were all here and I could just hand it to you, but we're not. So anyone that comes on the tour Friday, or even if we set up another tour time, you will get your goodie bag. But I will also put some outside on the 10th from 4 to 6, if you want to drive through and pick one up. On the 11th from 9 to noon, and then also on the 12th for tours. So I want everyone to have their goodie bag. It is for families and students. You'll find a lot of great things in there that you'll enjoy. So next slide. So Jumpstart. I said before that typically before school starts, we want to get to know our school family, our incoming students, and know a little bit more about them. And we do that even before we place students with teachers. We want to see which students are getting along, which students might be best in a different classroom. So, you know, which relationships are forming. So again, I don't know what it will look like, but we will communicate that out and watch for details in July. And that is for families that are registered for Ferndale for the fall for kindergarten or first fives. And actually right now might be a good time to talk about First Fives. I must have missed it on the early intervention slide. So First Fives is a chance for students to be 5 first. It's for students that have little to no preschool experience. Those students that have that late birthday, maybe they don't turn 5 until September, October, or November, and you would have to sign a waiver. First Fives is a great opportunity. We call it the gift of time. And there are academics that go on in First Fives, but there's also a lot of social emotional development. First Fives is a class size that is limited. We do testing and we look at data and look at information. So if you are interested in First Fives, even if you just want information about it, when you go to enroll, you would click the First Fives option, and then you would get more information. Next slide. So here I am, that's my email, that's my direct phone line to my desk. Kids say I live here, I almost do, but I can always be reached. I want to answer your questions and help you as you make decisions moving forward. So happy to help. The next slide is one of my favorites. Your future is so bright in Ferndale. And those are our Eagles, Fern and Dale, and together it's Ferndale. And we want to know how excited we are to meet you. And that Learn About Kindergarten is a link to a Flipgrid that I mentioned earlier. Each teacher made a special message and talked about the goodies that are in the bag. So I just wanted to share that with you. So next slide. Thanks for being here for the presentation. We'll stay on and answer any questions you have. Don't get too stressed out because your student is the class of 2034, which is kind of crazy. So, but we are excited. Kindergarten is amazing, and I'm just glad to spend this time with you. So that's the end of the presentation, but Mr. Good, happy to answer some questions, either myself or some of the kindergarten team that's on.
Sure. So Diana, there's been a couple that are in the chat here. The first one is talking about we mentioned when the school day starts, but when does the school day end?
The school day ends with the new time at 3:28 every day except for Wednesday. Wednesday ends an hour early at 2:28. We call it early release Wednesday, and that is a time for our teachers, our team of teachers to get together, and they work on, it's called PLC, a professional learning community. We as teachers, as staff, we always need to be learning and growing and developing as well. So that it's an hour of professional development that we do every week.
Is First Fives a full day or half day program?
It can be either. We like students to be here full day, but some families want to ease into school, and so they do a half day. It has to be a half day every day or a full day every day. Now, if you want to start with half days, and a lot of families do this, but I will tell you about 3 or 4 weeks in, they end up coming full day. So we try to do an art and a music in the morning so they're not missing that all the time if they leave in the afternoon. There is no transportation at the half day though. So if you wanted First Fives and you only wanted a half day, your student could take a bus to school, but you would be required to pick them up at lunchtime.
All right, next question is if the student is, if they set up a tour for this Friday and the student does not come, will there be a later opportunity for the students to come into the building?
Well, I hope that with safety precautions and some restrictions will be lifted, I will do my very best to set up some play dates or to do other tour times. If we're able to do our typical kindergarten roundup is usually in May, and that is when most families have chosen to come here for kindergarten, and we're able to really hone in on some of those specific questions that you have. So if we're able to do that in the spring like we normally do, then students would definitely be able to be in the school at that time.
The next question, it has to do with enrollment and whether or not there's a deadline. I'll take that one. And the short answer is, if you are a resident, there is no deadline. You can enroll at any time. You can enroll tomorrow, or you could wait till the day before school starts. We prefer you to enroll earlier, just so we can kind of get a handle on where our numbers are and we know how many sections of kindergarten we have. But again, if you're a resident, you can enroll at any time. If you're coming from outside of the community, we are currently open for schools of choice students from within Oakland County. That window opened today and goes until June 30th. So you'd have to enroll by June 30th and have your enrollment completed to be able to get into kindergarten for next year. The next question, Diana, is are parents allowed to request their child's teacher?
I will take any information that you have about your student. If you can tell me their likes, their dislikes, how they learn, things that the preschool teacher has told you. We have a very systematic process with placing teachers, and that Jumpstart experience supports that a lot as well. So I don't like to take specific teachers by name and place students that way. I like to know a little bit about your student, and I ask you to trust me to know a lot about the teachers and make that best fit. It's really about the whole class family and creating the best fit for the whole class family.
The next question has to do with information on before and after school care. And unfortunately, that's not something we can answer right now. We're hoping to offer before and after school care, but with the pandemic right now, that becomes very, the logistics of that become very difficult. We're hoping to be back to almost normal, if not fully normal, by the fall. But right now, until we get a little bit further down the line, we can't give any information on that at this time. But we hope to be able to give some information on that in the coming months. Diana, next question is, how many students are in each kindergarten class?
It can go as high as 24, 25, but typically it's around 21, 22. We have a couple different physical size differences in our classrooms. And so we have two really big kindergarten sized rooms. Those typically have a few more students. We have a medium sized classroom, and then we have a couple rooms that are smaller. They're not teeny tiny, but we try to put a few less students in those classrooms.
With regards to the Young Fives or First Fives program, how young can the students be?
They have to turn 5 before December 1st. So they still have to be of kindergarten age. So they must be 5 by December 1st.
The next question is about signing up for a tour this Friday. I'm going to post that link again in the chat in just a second once we get through all the questions. It was posted earlier, so if you scroll up, you should be able to see that, but I will post it again at the bottom of the chat just so that it's in there. Also, at the beginning of the chat, I posted the links to the enrollment webpage as well as the enrollment questionnaire. That's a Google Doc you see listed there. And again, I'll repost those at the bottom of the chat once everything wraps up as well. So if you're looking for those links, just hang on for 2 or 3 minutes after the presentation and I'll make sure those all get posted again. So Diana, next question. If you are, oh, I lost my spat. Hang on one second. If you are interested in First Fives, are we able to select an interest in First Fives and FECC just in case we don't get into First Fives?
So we had that happen with a few families this time. I think that just requires that communication with Miss Heidi and myself, and students that did not get into First Fives then had that choice if they were going to come to kindergarten or if they wanted to go back to FECC. So that's possible. We can do that. If that's best interest for your child, absolutely we'll want to make that happen. It's just about communicating that with us.
And the next question, Diana, is are there teacher assistants for each room? And if so, how many per teacher, or is it per student?
So we do not have teacher assistants in the classroom. We have support staff in the building that are in and out of classrooms. We have a behavioralist, we have reading specialist, the reading core. We do now this year have the language arts teacher assistants. So there are 2, and if there's 8 classes, they would be in and out of 4 classrooms during the day supporting. But there is not an assigned teacher assistant in the kindergarten classroom. If a student has special needs and they might need a paraprofessional, or they need some learning support, there might be a paraprofessional that will be in the classroom. Usually they're specifically in the classroom for a certain student, but they definitely help everyone that they can. And also our foster grandmas, when we have foster grandmas in the building, they are able to be in the classroom as well most of the day. And like I said, with volunteers and parents, we welcome families to come in. So if we're able to do that, there's usually another adult in the classroom.
All right, well, that is all the questions that were asked. If anyone else has any questions, please type them now. If not, earlier in the presentation, Mrs. Keefe had her email address in there. You can always call the enrollment office too. Our phone number is 248-586-8686. Once again, 248-586-8686. So that is all we have for this evening. If you have any other questions, we're here to help. We know this is a very interesting year, and there's a lot of uncertainty, and none of us like operating with this much uncertainty. We're very hopeful that this fall will kind of return to normal. But until we start to get a little bit further down the line, we just don't know that. But we encourage everyone to sign up for kindergarten as early as possible, so that we can make sure that we have everything ready for you and your family. And again, we'll be continually communicating with you, and our doors are always open. Mrs. Keefe, anything else before we leave?
I don't know if Ms. Majewski, did you have anything you wanted to add about First Fives, or Ms. Parinello about kindergarten in general? I asked you to be on here. I kind of feel like maybe you should say hi.
Hi. Oh, go ahead. Heather, did you unmute? I can't see.
I
you.
did, but it's okay. I go ahead.
I'll wait. You go first.
Well, I didn't have anything to add. I was here to answer any of your questions. I didn't have childcare, so it kind of worked out that I didn't have to answer too many things, but I'm here. You can always email me if you do think of something. And that's it.
Great.
I'm Mrs. Majewski. I teach First Fives. It is, just as Mrs. Keefe said, the gift of time. It's that extra year, that bridge between, pre-K age and kindergarten. It gives them time to grow through more play, those open choices in the classroom. We have an hour every day, at least, of choice time within the classroom, in the house area, the sand and water table, etc. So they're really working on those social emotional skills, problem solving, and independence, which is key for, kids and as we grow into adults as well. So it's a wonderful program, and I encourage you, if it's something you're interested in, to choose that as your choice when you enroll, so we know who's interested.
We will be updating the website with more information. I know the flip grid will go up there, and those kindergarten questions that are in the presentation, as well as the presentation. So the website is a wealth of information, but if you do not find the answers to your questions, you just need to let us know, and we will help you out.
All right, Diana, 2 more quick questions. The first is, after First Fives, does a child go to regular kindergarten or first grade?
They typically go to kindergarten. I had a student many years ago that I felt was ready to go to first grade, and the family said, nope, they're going to kindergarten because they wanted that time. So I would say 99.9, they go to kindergarten, and they are the leaders in kindergarten.
And then the last question, is there an online resource for child development expectations prior to starting kindergarten?
So we do have a lot of information on the website, but we also in the goodie bag that we provide in the spring at our roundup, there's a lot of developmental expectations and kindergarten readiness skills. So that's all to come.
All right. Well, once again, thank you everybody for joining us. Have a great evening, and we will be in touch with you very,
Does
very
she crawl anymore?
Some, when she wants to go somewhere fast.
Do you want to say bye? Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Nice
Thank
to
you.
meet you. Thanks for coming tonight.
Are we going to say bye?
Bye.
Bye-bye, honey.